Trump card set a May 12 last date, the following day by that he has to disclaim sanctions regime versus Iran or keep the transactions, for the US and its Europe allies to accept on changes to address which he sees as its flaws. The CEO's thought, officials tell, is how if the US and Europe are joint on changing the transactions, the some signatories, Russia and China, will go on, and Iran will include no selection but to perform. Critics claim how outgoing the transactions would harm relations in Europe allies, damage US domestic safety interests, in portion by reduction the US capacity to display Iran's nuke activities, an email, a precise communication to Polar Korea how the US can't be trusted to honor nuke agreements. A horrible transactions. Europe allies say they will not believe changes to the treaty, but the debate among the allies and the US is extensive. In the CEO oneself dismissing the transactions as horrible, and the imminent go of CIA CEO Mike Pompeo, an Iran vulture, to the country division, lot officials in the US and Europe are fastening for Washington to leave the treaty. Versus how background, US officials guideline the talks in Europe. Allies say how at the identical period, they are preparing accident plans should Trump card solve to drag the US of we ever include to get ready for any possibility. We are betrothed in accident planner. We're type of double monitoring the, told Brian Crochet, the country division's CEO of Politics Planner, who is guideline negotiations in the Europeans. The Exchequer Division, meantime, is preparation for the opportunity how it may include to click behind sanctions regime how were repealed by the Obama authority following the transactions, officially named as the Collaborative Committee Schedule of Activity, was signed. Crochet met in Europe allies in Berlin recent 1 week to go on discussions up departure to Vienna, Austria, on Friday for a routine meet in all parties to the treaty. Requested if he was sure on achieving an treaty in the Europeans, Crochet told Environment how, we include had structural negotiations in the Europeans, but I can't forecast if we will achieve a transactions or no. We include a purpose in reason, and we will each achieve treaty or we win tea, Crochet told. He acknowledged how Iran is in engineering accordance to their commitments by the transactions. Crochet rejected to commentary on how Pompeo's transmission would influence prospects for the Iran transactions, but told he anticipated the ex-congresswoman of Kansas to do an lightweight transfer. A quantity of us are provided aid to Secretariat designate Pompeo's confirmed trial, Crochet told. Same's got such a profound knowledge in so lot of these issues how it will be a really lightweight transfer. Trump card wants the Iran agreement corrected in a additional treaty how would end as called sundown clauses, provision how breeze downward following a few year, strengthen the inspections of Iran's nuke sites and add measures cover Iran's ballistics rocket program. Individually, Trump card as well wants allies to get more than stairs to address Tehran's presence in Lebanon, its supporting for Hezbollah, cyber attacks and marine aggressive, as so as the strong Muslim Revolutionist Guardsmen housing, that the US says is over lot of the Mideast's destabilization. I include set out two probable paths striker, each fix the transactions as fatal flaws, or the joint state will remove, Trump card told on January 12, the recent period he waived sanctions regime. At the period, the CEO told he was waiving sanctions regime just to offer Europeans period to go to an treaty in the US. The is a recent opportunity, Trump card told. In the lack of such an treaty, the joint state will not once again disclaim sanctions regime in procedure to remain in the Iran nuke transactions. And if at any period I magistrate how such an treaty is not during achieve, I will remove of the transactions once. Lawmakers say they believe Trump card will go off. I believe the CEO potential will go off of it, except our Europe peer pressure very go along on a scope, Senator Bob Clincher, the Tennessee Republican who heads the Overseas Relations Board, told March 18 on CBS Person the nationality. Or it doesn't sense to me how they are. Really, Europe officials say how time they're lucky to talk measures to blood pressure Iran on its activities in the Mideast, they aren't readily to believe additional to the nuke transactions. And Iran refuses to talk opening the talks, that took year to full. It will email a communication, Crochet told Environment, how in the background of nuclear non-proliferation agreements or treaties, he's really overall to add additional agreements, although he marked how the nuke agreement is not a contract, but just a policy treaty. He's sui generis nuclear non-proliferation schedule of activity house a policy paper, Crochet told. Or the ISN treaty how has lot deficiencies. We believe how these deficiencies are of such a threats to domestic safety how we can enable the transactions to stay in location out of a additional treaty to address its deficiencies. And so how's our attention down there? Crochet as well sidestepped a issue on if outgoing the Iran nuke transactions would email a communication to Polar Korea how the US can't be trusted. No one has agreed in more than bad belief rather than Polar Korea. They include a story of violation, Crochet told. War leaders include been precise on the strategy downsides of outgoing the agreement. Requested on the communication Polar Korea could paint if Trump card abrogates the Iran transactions, General John Hyden, the captain of U.S. strategy team, said the Sinead Gunman Services Board on Tuesday how, all activity the joint state conducted sends a communication about the Earth, so it will email a communication to Polar Korea, it will email a communication to Russia, China, our allies, Iran, Saudi Arabia, all is impacted. Shut U.S. allies include been crucial of the transactions as he's structural. Saudi Overseas Secretary Adel Al-Jubeir told Tuesday how he's a corrupted treaty and alerted how since Iran is capable to go on its nuke study, down there's a opportunity how while the transactions expires, it will be capable to enrichment quite Uranus for a bombshell during weeks. How told, Al-Jubeir said reporters in Washington the 1 week how if the changes Trump card is request for can be done, Saudi Arabia would be capable to supporting the transactions.